Hi, this is Jeff Miller, and I'm going to introduce you to our next video, and I really want you to watch it when you have time. This went quite a bit longer than norm. It was about 15 minutes long, but because it was my friend Jeff Austin, it was a fascinating conversation about the energy, about renewals, about what MidAmerica and Berkshire are doing here in Des Moines and Central Iowa in terms of wind power and solar. And it's very interesting, and I hope you spend the time to watch it. So without further ado, we're going to move into our conversation with Jeff Austin. Hi, this is Jeff Miller coming to you from our office here in West Des Moines, and I'm here today with Jeff Austin. Jeff Austin is Vice President and Chief Accounting Officer for MidAmerican Energy, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Berkshire Hathaway Energy, which, as you know, is the CEO is Warren Buffett. So this will be an interesting conversation here. Today we want to talk about the energy marketplace, particularly utilities and their impact on the economy, which is significant. MidAmerican provides energy to in the state of Iowa on a large scale, but across the country, and has many partnerships and various things that Jeff will talk about. One thing I want to mention relative to stocks, which is obviously the business that I'm in, utility companies historically have been very solid investments to make. They don't correlate well, or they don't correlate directly with the stock market as much. They're more defensive type of stocks whose share price is not that volatile. They typically pay a good dividend because energy has been a constant in our industry. It's not highly, or a constant in our economy. It's not highly volatile. But over the last 10 to 15 years and moving into the future, this is going to change dramatically as renewables and renewable energy becomes a bigger piece of the utilities and what they're doing. So what I'd like to do today is just introduce Jeff, and we can talk a little bit about Berkshire Hathaway and MidAmerica, as well as talk about the renewable energy marketplace and where it's going and what that means to you as an investor and as a consumer moving forward. So Jeff, why don't you just give us a little bit of background on Berkshire and MidAmerican?
Okay, very good. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
You bet.
So Berkshire Hathaway Energy is the energy and utility arm of Berkshire Hathaway Inc., as you mentioned. We have a portfolio of companies, including MidAmerican Energy, based here in Des Moines, that that are really providing, primarily in a regulated environment, the essential service of electricity and natural gas to residential customers, commercial, as well as industrial customers. We also have natural gas pipelines, and we also have the second largest residential brokerage firm in the U.S.
Wow.
And in terms of a local company, Iowa Realty is part of that group as well. So in terms of assets, we have over $84 billion of assets invested across this portfolio. We generated just short of $18 billion of revenue in 2015 and had net income of about $2.4 billion.
How many employees in the entire?
We have about 21,000 employees across this group, Berkshire Hathaway Energy, and we serve just short of 12 million customers worldwide.
Do you know what the impact is here in Iowa as far as employees and customers?
You know what, I do not know the specifics on what MidAmerican would, I would guess it's in the 3,000 to 4,000 maybe.
And needless to say,
Yeah,
it's a big
it's
impact.
large. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, tell us a little bit. Now, we understand, obviously, there's, through history, we've found out a lot about energy and how it kind of coalesces through our economy. We know about the grid. We know all these different types of high-level terminology.
Right.
But the direction is into renewables. So tell us how Berkshire Hathaway Energy Group, what you've done in the last 10 years and where that whole area is going for you.
I break it down into two areas. For our regulated businesses, and in addition to MidAmerican Energy, we have regulated what we think of as fully integrated electric utility companies in the West Coast. We have some properties in actually Canada and the UK as well. But in terms of our integrated utilities, we would be making investments in both wind and solar, in both actual assets that we own, as well as entering into power purchase agreements with other entities that are generating electricity via renewable energy. That's on the regulated side. On the non-regulated side, we are making, in kind of a more of a free market place, if you will, investments where we're building our own wind and solar projects and then selling that energy that comes from those projects to other regulated utilities. So for us, we're investing both on the regulated and the non-regulated side of the opportunity.
You know, and you think about the amount of capital it takes, where you don't just start a wind farm or start a solar panel operation.
Right.
These are massive programs that take a lot of time to build and then to create energy and to store energy and to transport energy. Energy is more pronounced here in Iowa, and I see it as I drive around. Now we know Texas has a huge wind energy operation there, Oklahoma and Iowa. In solar, really, all I hear about is more Southern California as the main impetus. Where are a lot of these operations?
I would say, I like to talk about MidAmerican and the wind opportunity here because, you know, it's really completely it's leading the country for sure, and really I think arguably the world. I mean, if you look at the kinds of companies that we've been able to attract here in Iowa, it's really twofold. And the companies I'm talking about on the technology side, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, have all decided to make major investments in the state of Iowa for two reasons. We have very low rates, electric rates, and we have a huge commitment to renewable energy. If you look at MidAmerican started making their initial wind investments in 2004. When we finish the current project that's underway and in construction, we will have over 4,000 megawatts of wind energy being able to be produced in the state of Iowa. We will have made an investment of over $7 billion. And if you think about that size of that wind capability, that's equivalent to about 58% of the total retail requirement in the state of Iowa.
Really?
Unprecedented.
Amazing.
Leading all of the U.S. in that regard. So it's exciting. You know, but to your point, it's wind related. If you think about solar panels and the value and the utilization of the land here in Iowa, it's probably not ever going to be a huge solar state because of alternative uses of that farmland, where wind can be integrated with the farming investment and the farm productivity, and it ends up being a win-win. There's a site, you know, there's a wind. If you look at maps, there's people that track this. I mean, there's definitely a wind channel, if you will, of where it's
through the central part of the
central,
north
kind
to
of
south.
rolled up through. But you had mentioned Texas and Oklahoma, Iowa. The solar tends to be more, at least today, on the West Coast and the Southwest. So Texas, Arizona, California.
You know, it's interesting about the farming, the integration of the windmills with farming, because quite frankly, it is a total win-win for the farmers. The space that they have to give up is minor. They can farm around it, yet they can get lease payments from it.
Exactly. I mean, we believe it's a win-win. Now, that isn't to say that there won't be some solar opportunities, because, you know, I mean, one of the things that you know, to your point around the industry kind of evolving and changing, it is, and there's options, and our customers want options, and so solar is of interest to people in the Midwest, and so we're looking at that, and while it may not be rooftop solar like you might see in the, you know, out west, there's community solar, there's all kinds of different models that are emerging, and so at the end of the day, while we'll be predominantly wind in the Midwest, I think you will see some opportunities because customers want solar, and so we're gonna figure out a way to do that.
All right, two more things. This is terrific conversation. So when we look at the Google facility and the what was out
the
by Altoona Facebook facility.
So
So did you need to do a lot of infrastructure in those two? And how does that relate to wind? I mean, does wind provide energy to
It
that?
does. I mean, you know, I mean, in the total system, wind is a part of that for sure. But yeah, they're typically with large commercial/industrial companies with the profile of those businesses that you mentioned, we will do kind of unique configuration and do some things to build infrastructure specifically for those facilities. And obviously those businesses, being in the business they're in, have a unique need for highly reliable energy source. Now, again, I would tell you, I think one of the reasons why, and Governor Branstad has talked about this, has been quoted, that Iowa is again kind of world leading in our profile, and it's really twofold. Businesses are in business to make money, and so economics is always a part of decisions for large companies to come to a place like Iowa. So it is low energy costs. We are the lowest in the Midwest, and we're really the lowest in the country. And it's also our commitment to renewables. I mean, back to the metric I said before, with what has been approved through the Iowa Utilities Board, we will have a profile that is 58% of the retail demand that can be covered by the investment that we made in wind.
Amazing.
It truly is. But yeah, absolutely, we're working with those large companies. They're critical customers of ours, and so, again, you and I talked a little bit before we started this morning about, utility businesses historically being thought of as kind of a monopoly business and maybe not having to be quite as customer centric, or perhaps not feeling like we're competing quite as aggressively as others in a more non-regulated market environment. I would tell you that's not the attitude that we take at Berkshire Hathaway Energy. We feel like, we're very customer centric. We've got to compete. There's all kinds of new technology coming, and if we're not providing a great service at a great price, we have the risk of being displaced, and so we are competing very aggressively, even though it's in a regulated structure.
Excellent. Well, this has been a very informative conversation. I really appreciate your time coming in with us today. And
thank you.
And so thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yes, thanks.
And we're signing off.
Okay.